Fox News. Trump on PBD. Drama. By now you might have realized that I was, don't tell anybody else, but by now you probably realized that I was debating you by saying drama, gonna cover the drama. Like, of course not. A lot of serious things going on in the world. Hasan, have you already talked about Sinwar's death? No, I haven't. We'll talk about that as well. Sorry, did you announce the date of the new merch shop yet? No. Thought it was fake. It probably isn't. I mean, I've seen the footage. I've seen the photos. So, but there's actually serious drama. What is the serious drama? Please don't get mad at me for asking. I'll only ask this once since my last 2 attempts got canned. I don't know how the chat moderation works. How was the Yemeni kid not connected to the Houthis? And does it even matter if he was? Not only does it not matter to me if he was or not, it would obviously change the dynamic of the interview if he was. But he is not. They turned Galaxy into a fucking tourist destination. He's just a TikToker. Like, civilians are allowed for, I think, like $1 to go on the ship. So he just like went on the ship and took footage on the ship. I did see the Mr. Beast billboard ad. Also, why would he lie about it? Law, I know. Boy made a joke. You can endure survival week without chicken. He's not wrong. There is the Robert Robertson execution, which is crazy. Well, I guess not so crazy because Texas is slated to also execute another innocent man. Innocent man who is like fairly, I wouldn't say severely, but like pretty obviously disabled. Like, and that was the reason why. I mean, it's a really sad story. I've talked about it before. Anyway, we'll cover all that. America dropped bombs in Yemen last night. Yeah, I saw that. Most people don't know that he isn't a Houthi or have seen his post about respecting Jews. I don't really care. Like, it doesn't matter. First of all, most people haven't seen it, but it doesn't matter. Even if they have, they will just say, "Oh, he's doing PR." Okay, like they have no framework. This dude is not growing up in fucking Galveston and in a suburb or some shit and coming up with these opinions. Okay, this dude is in Yemen. This motherfucker is a 19-year-old in Yemen, dog. What are we talking about? Like these are some of like the level of oppression and struggle that you can comprehend for like someone born into a dire situation in the United States of America times 1 million. Okay, what the fuck? Like motherfuckers acting like this dude is in Naperville tweeting, you know? Like, oh, he's not sufficiently, he's tweeting problematic things. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah. You didn't even look at the evidence he provided? What? The drama that your friend is getting harassed every day in his crew? Wait, what? What are you saying? You didn't look at the evidence he provided? I know all the evidence that he provided. I'm familiar with it. Yeah, he's a Yemeni teen with a gun. I know. It has the highest rate of firearm ownership on the planet after the United States of America. Once again, 19-year-old, literally just take a breath, take a deep breath, and think about it. Take a deep breath and think about it. Okay? What am I doing here? 12 months of genocide, and I am trying to cancel a dude that at any given point might be underneath a YouTube bombing campaign like the one that occurred last night. Okay? Do you feel like this is a normal conversation to have? Okay? Think. I really need you to understand this. I really genuinely want you to internalize. And you don't even have to give me a response to this. Or not a U2, sorry, B2 bomber. I said U2. What the fuck's wrong with me? Like, you are talking about a person, a 19-year-old, who has experienced genocide since they were like 10, okay? That have survived genocide since they were like 10. And you're saying, personally, his posts are problematic. No shit. Okay? Of course his posts are problematic. If you are expecting this person to have a worldview that is similar to yours, then I think you genuinely misunderstand the intention of my conversation with him. Okay? Like, don't worry. The American state will probably end up assassinating him with your tax dollars, and then you can rest easy. Okay? If that happens, you can rest easy. How about that? Will that make you happy? Will that kind of cancellation make you feel better, Barry Weiss? What was even problematic is all manufacturers did. I don't fucking know. It just blows my mind. I don't think that we will ever be able to see the world in a similar way. I just don't think so. I don't think we'll ever be able to look at the world in a similar way. I think there is a fundamental. He made a post saying he wants to kill all Zionists and posted a picture of a Jewish person being spiked to death. I don't think that's what? Yeah, I don't know. Also, I don't even give a shit. The harassment is apparent. Not saying it's her fault, but it's just sad to see. Oh, yeah, dude. I'm sorry. Here's the thing, okay? Notice how you very quickly shifted your priorities away from wanting to cancel a 19-year-old who is a victim, a survivor of genocide, okay? I'm sorry, chatter. I don't care, okay? I don't care. I don't know how to communicate this to you. I talk to literally people that are currently under brutal bombing campaigns and mass starvation campaigns conducted by the Israeli state, okay? I cover actual fucking news. The centering this conversation around the personal feelings of a person living in Los Angeles, California, is some of the most unproductive, most selfish, American exceptionalist, garbanzo nonsense I have ever had to encounter. The well is so deep. The well is so deep for American insanity. Okay? How does this center my feelings? And it's not even your personal feelings. It's not even your personal feelings. It's the feelings of another person that you're coming in here to continue this conversation on. I'm done. Okay? The reason why I don't cover this stuff is because I don't think it's productive, number one. I think it's for a lot of people who simply care about the drama of it all, not necessarily about the real impact. I think it's a great disservice to the people that I have met, both online and people that I've had here in person. Like when I think about these issues, I think about like, how will I face Motaz Azaiza? Okay. A man born in Gaza, okay, his family originally from Gaza. A man who was able to escape Gaza. A photojournalist whose assistant second in command friend and journalist was assassinated by the Israeli state. Whenever I think about these issues, like I think about him. I think about Hasan in North Gaza right now. I think about Omar, who has had to move from place to place inside of Gaza time and time again, whose friend Meadow, who was a fan of this stream as well, who was assassinated by the Israeli state. And when I think about those people that are still there, that are still trying to survive, okay, in one of the most unjust acts that a state can enact, and then like your expectation from me is to sit back and talk about like just endless selfish, self-centered drama. Like, how can I make the genocide about me is what it feels like. It feels hollow. It feels like it's a disservice. And I get kind of grossed out when I see my own chatters coming in here to try and consistently repeat these talking points. Okay? I don't understand why you wouldn't care if he's out there tweeting an image of a Jewish person on a pike. I don't understand why this problem can't be approached with nuance, because he is a teenager in Yemen, dude. These people have no material power. They cannot touch you. They cannot harm you. That's the point. Okay? There are real fucking Nazis in the United States of America. And also, what do you mean? It's just a person on a pike. There's no Jewish person on a pike on that photo unless I saw something different. Okay? This is why this entire conversation is fucking idiotic. It's not a Jewish person. He said, why am I held accountable for some random fucking 19-year-old in Yemen's tweets? What is happening? How many steps removed are we from this situation? How is this the conversation that you want to have right now? I fucking despise all of you, dude. I do. I really do. I hate all of you. You did it. You got it. Okay? You got it. You successfully got me to talk about this, and my patience is running thin on this matter. The endless selfishness, the untapped well of American selfishness and American individualism is in full display. It comes across as like a good faith effort, but I don't think any of you genuinely want to hear a good faith perspective. It's so stupid. Anyway. This whole thing was done with one thing in mind, and the reasons we're not in good faith is so sad that an interview was done a year ago, has resurfaced so much drama. Yeah, I don't care. I stand by the value of that interview at a time when people were being slaughtered, and that slaughter has not stopped. Okay? It is presented as like it is presented as a good faith, genuine question, but it's not. I'm gonna unban that person. This is straight up some Keemstar level bullshit. These are deeply unserious people. Yes. It sucks. Like, what are we doing? I'm talking about the fucking tweets of of a random 19-year-old in Yemen, dude. What the fuck is going on the planet? Like, what is happening? There's a genocide occurring, and people are like, well, you interviewed a Yemeni teenager who is a survivor of genocide 9 or 10 months ago at this point, and I think it's really problematic that you did that. Yeah, okay. Well, sure. How are you doing mentally? I'm doing fine. I was doing fine until I fucking went live and saw this like barrage of idiotic statements. You're literally like, you're like, one thing that I did see from all the drama that like immediately zapped my brain was Ethan using a clip from a Bonercelli fan account, an unlisted clip titled Hamasabi in his takedown. Okay. Yeah. Like, that's crazy, man. How fucking far down the rabbit hole are you that you're doing that? I feel like he basically made you to be the representative of anti-Semitism. I don't think people believe this. I can't, in good conscience, like, look, people have time and time again come after me for a litany of different idiotic things, right? I think it was like Abba and Preach that said that I called him transphobic. That was like unacceptable or whatever. And then they said I was transphobic. And then there was so many people that would constantly come in here and be like, Hasan, you're transphobic, huh? Over and over again. And um and I think only time causes people to look at this stuff with a different only time causes people to like truly comprehend what I'm about. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll just hope that people will be charitable and people will understand where I'm coming from. You know? That's it. Drama. Kamala on Fox News. Trump on PPD. Yahya Sinwar killed. Dave Weigel on later. Dave Weigel will be on to talk about Kamala's chances and more. Get in now. Yeah. What would you call a fair criticism? Is there a way to criticize you in good faith? Yes. I think if you, let me ask you this, okay? Let me ask you this. Do you think that like me signaling to my community to be anti-Semitic is a fair criticism, or do you think it's like insane? I think it's insane. Maybe we're of two different minds here, but it's abhorrent, it's completely unacceptable. I've never allowed it, and I will never allow it. Like that's it. And I think his own community is still very much upset at him. And I don't think that like it's something that I don't think that he understands. Like, not every single person that's upset at him is like a fan of mine. I was live yesterday. I wasn't talking about this shit. And I saw some of the comments before they disabled the comments. Like, I saw people with the screenshots of the comments. All the top comments are like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I'm saying this again, and I said this yesterday. It's not that you boost anti-Semitism, it's that you let it run with the community and the mods. I don't. I do not. Okay? A lot of the anti-Semitism allegations is repackaged Islamophobia. That's it. And Islamophobia is permissible. Ironic, because I think that was a clip that he used as well, saying that anti-Semitism is unacceptable, Islamophobia is allowed, is what I said when talking about like what people consider to be permissible and what people don't consider to be permissible. It's just like, what do you want me to do? Bad faith generalizations off of like short clips that are completely antithetical to my worldview, like completely against everything that I stand for. Get the fuck out of here. For years and years and years, I have a problem with Zionism. I've never had a problem with Jewish people. I've always, 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 and will continue to always defend Jewish people against anti-Semitism. Zionism, especially when attached to the actions of Israel now, being claimed as like a thing that all Jews believe and respond to positively, with this like vague, constantly changing, constantly shifting understanding of what Zionism actually is inherently anti-Semitic. The idea that Jews are a monolith or are of one mind on this issue is anti-Semitic. Zionism is not Judaism. I don't care. No matter how many people try to tell me like, oh, well, my lived experience shows that it actually is. And I don't care. If you define what Zionism is, I feel so many of the misconceptions could be cleared up. No, because I have a million times over. I kind of just did just now. Zionism is the belief that Israel, in the area that it is, has to exist as a majority Jewish ethno-state. That's it. I have explained it so many times over. Just like I have shit on anti-Semites a million times over. It's ridiculous. The thing is that people disagree with your definition. Okay, who cares? First of all, who? Like, what do you mean people disagree with that definition? That is what it is. You can agree with it. What is this?
Oh, you want to make it so Israel isn't a Jewish homeland? Where is my wife who lives with me in Beverly Hills in California? Where's she going to go? In the garbage? In the toilet? Do you just want to kill her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she's going to go where she is now.
It's not even, it's funny because I don't even think he was talking about he led the situation. I think he was talking about fucking how like, yeah, this is clip chimped. I think this is literally about how the common trope that people write about on like Forward magazine and shit. Like the idea that like I'm under threat in the upper west side or the upper east side. Like, and then there's like articles being written about like how I saw a Muslim man or like a scary brown guy. it's funny because, again, Felix is...
Now, which is not Israel.
Yeah, this is...
It's like...
And it's... It's clear what he meant in the context. He just clipped that. I agree, but people are stupid to refuse and believe it. Okay. If you agree with my definition of Zionism, which corresponds to material reality, but then your counter to it is that, well, other people don't. What do you want me to do? Do I allow any kind of reactionary hallucinations to go on in this? Do you ever have this expectation of me on any other issue? Republicans hallucinate a reality where gay people and trans people are constantly grooming your children to fuck them. Do I entertain that? No. What the fuck do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I do not entertain reactionary framing on issues, okay? Zionism is inherently reactionary. It is fascist. If you understand, I mean, this is from 2021. Stop conflating Jews all around the world with a horrific, violent Israeli occupation. You are being anti-Semitic when you claim that all Jews are a monolith in their unconditional support for a far-right, ultra-nationalist, ethno-state government engaging in war crimes. Listen, if you were white, this conversation wouldn't happen. I am white, just not white enough for some on this issue. Every other issue that I talk about, I don't get hit on like this. This is the one issue. Majority report agreeing with you. The term Zionism can sometimes encounter issues because there are many Jews who identify with the term for reasons of upbringing or whatever and fit with the Einstein version more or less. Jewish community and pluralistic Palestine. Yeah, that definition, Einstein didn't agree with either and recognized was wrong. Einstein would now be considered an anti-Zionist with his attitude about what the nation-state project of Israel looked like early on. That's the problem, okay? You can't just like assume that this is something that it objectively isn't. It's like saying, well, I don't know, a lot of people grew up with the understanding that Israel is a democracy. Okay. I don't care. It's not. What do you mean? It's a ridiculous thing to be like, well, sorry, social conditioning actually is more important in this circumstance. Well, it's not. It's not the truth. What do you want me to do? Fucking lie to you? That's what's crazy about this entire process is that, like, you can't imagine something that Israel is not. Okay, you can't imagine an alternative reality of what Zionism should be when it's not that. And then just be like, and I feel like I'm being hurt in this circumstance. I don't know how else to go about this. I don't get it. I don't fully comprehend it. I don't know what to say. Isn't that like saying all Westerners are right-wing nut jobs that want to delete black and brown people? What? Dude, this is a political definition, okay? It is a project. It is an ethno-state project with well-defined boundaries. It's not like saying all Westerners are right-wing nut jobs. It's like saying all Nazis are right-wing nut jobs that want to delete black and brown people. You don't have an issue with that, right? If I were to say Nazis, okay, and their fascist ideology dictates the ethnic cleansing of black and brown people, okay? When I say that, everyone's like, yeah, I get that. That's correct. That's a correct assessment. I have Israeli Jews in this chat. The fuck do you mean? What a ridiculous conversation to have over and over and over again. It is a settler colonial project. That is what it is. The issue, however, is that it is a settler colonial project that has unfolded in front of our eyes at a time when we've learned too much about the mistakes of the past when we were growing up. So it is at odds with what we think is right and wrong. So you can't make up for that. It would have still been wrong if it was conducted in the 17th century, but we're not in the 17th century. No, I agree with you. I'm just saying a lot of Jews can have a knee-jerk reaction to the term people going after Zionists, like kill all Zionists or whatever, because a lot of people don't see it the way that we do. So I think you just need to have some patience and understanding on that front. It's not the primary issue here, but just something to consider for the purposes of communication. No, I'm very familiar with this. I understand it. I understand it. Trust me, I do.
The first instance of this stuff I saw was when, like last year during his first dust up with you, when he did that thing that like all these guys do, where it's like they live in America, their families live in America, they'll never fucking move to Israel, and in fact, one of their family members moved from Israel because it actually sucks to live there.
Bro, they're making him. He's posting like he's got barred from Columbia campus, dude. Like that, dog. You're in Yemen. Like, what do you mean?
It's just like making him do this shit. Like, but he did that thing where like last year where he's like, oh, you want to make it so Israel isn't a Jewish homeland? Where is my wife who lives with me in?
Like, the question I have is, there are a shit ton of anti-Zionist Jews, many of which that have been on this broadcast, many of which that are endlessly accessible. Many anti-Zionist Jews in this community. When someone says like, fuck Zionists, do these anti-Zionist Jews go, whoa, why you say fuck me for? Or do they go, yeah, I get what they're saying. That's the difference, okay? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Anti-Zionist Jews themselves, including Felix Biederman, will also say sometimes even worse shit than just fuck Zionists. Okay? This does not mean that there aren't bad faith actors that try to masquerade as pro-Palestinian in an effort to funnel a lot of anti-Semitic agitative propaganda. The distinction here is that I do not allow that. You know, I don't allow that. And I regularly speak out against it. That's why I said yesterday, like, I urge Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar. Okay? There are very thoughtful, very kind, very understanding, and much less, how do I say this? Like, much less straightforward anti-Zionist Jews out there that he could talk to, I think, develop a different understanding of these matters. I don't think that I will be able to reach him. But maybe they could. That's it. Like, because the reason why I bring up Sam Cedar is because, well, not only is he my uncle, okay, my real uncle, and not my fake uncle like Jank, but also because I think he is an incredibly thoughtful person that will broach the subject with a lot more charitability than someone like Felix will. You know what I mean? Gabor Mate is another great example of this. I just don't think that I can, I'm gonna be honest, like I just don't think that I can like penetrate the hardened position that he has. You're a Muslim terrorist defender now? I mean, I have never stopped being a Muslim terrorist defender. My name is Hasan in America post 9/11. Like, what do you mean? Felix Dome got it. I love Felix. He is brilliant. He's hilarious. He is my goat. He is not as tactful as others. Felix is an anti-Zionist Jew for, many decades at this point. You get a little bit more hardened, I think, over time. And, the way that you approach the subject matter is going to be less tactful. How much do you weigh at the moment? Like 225 probably? How do I get there from 320? Work every day, baby. Work every day. One foot at one. Put your best foot forward, one step at a time. Time will absolve you per tradition. Yeah, but it sure sucks while you're living in it, Not that it fucking matters. I saw something online on my subreddit actually that I wanted to point to. Someone did an effort post. I mean, there's a lot of effort posts, right? There's a lot of effort posts. But this one was really interesting because I think Ethan took a clip from the stream out of context on a show. So I figured it would be a good idea to add context by breaking down the stream with timestamps. Impossible to argue that Hasan is doing anything but standing up for Ethan and telling off his chat in the stream, regardless of what Ethan's unhinged, untrue rant calling for his friend to be banned on Twitch will have you think. Ethan turning off comments on the video when fans disagree with him in the comments is insane. This is from Friday, September 13th, 2024 stream. Hasan begins by reacting to the video Why the Leftovers podcast ended. Hasan talks about why he never talks about Ethan, why Leftovers ended because of parasocialism, and him not being at odds with Ethan on Israel-Palestine. Hasan says he doesn't care that Ethan calls him out because he knows Ethan's heart is in the right place about Israel-Palestine, regardless of how he treats Hasan's community and mods. And before people go, why don't you fucking yell at Frogan? Okay, before people go, why don't you guys yell at, why doesn't Hasan yell at Frogan? Why doesn't Hasan yell at Frogan? You think I'm going to fucking turn around and be like, hey, this hijabi Muslim woman who is a content creator herself, who's constantly getting fucking serially harassed by Islamophobic, monstrous pieces of shit, whose family is still in Lebanon, you know? You think I'm going to be like, hey, I know Israel is like, I know that Israel's bombing your fucking village and you're getting harassed endlessly, you know? But it's really fucked up. Like, I think it's ridiculous. I personally don't even care if he's like calling me out or whatever. I heard that like people were saying that Ethan talked about me on his podcast today or some shit like that. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. For me, you know what I do care about? Ethan considering what Israel's doing to be genocidal far before October 7th. Okay? I do care about that. I think that that matters, especially when he is so close to the subject matter, so close to the different aspects of social conditioning that play a pretty prominent role in the development of American Jews, who are very progressive people overall. Okay, I don't care. Like, do you feel like I'm like regularly? Do you feel like these are the statements of a person who's like regularly and routinely fucking directing harassment his way to him and his family? Hasan defends Ethan, telling off his chat, saying that Ethan will never become MAGA because people were like, nah, Ethan is going down the right-wing slant. He's going to become MAGA. I was like, no, he's not. I don't think so. Anti-Semitism is abhorrent and completely unacceptable. I've never allowed it. It is my red line, obviously. He went from crying about dead passing babies to calling you homosabi, shaking my head, sad to see. Hasan says when he looks back at leftovers, he's happy that it happened. Hasan supports enjoying Ethan's content even when people disagree. Stark tone difference from Ethan and saying Hasan should be banned on Twitch because of how Hasan's content makes him feel, don't you think? Hasan says that he got the feeling that Ethan thought Hasan was trying to turn the H3 community against Ethan when Hasan was instead offering more charitability and banning chatters who came into the stream to shit talk Ethan and cause drama. Hasan defends Ethan's character even when Ethan gets too passionate, flies off the rails because ultimately Hasan thinks Ethan's heart is in the right place. Hasan says Ethan is 90% of the way there on the correct stance on Israel-Palestine. Hasan says, please point to the anti-Semites in the chat so we can ban them. Says anti-Semitism is banned in his community. Here's the problem. When you're already operating under the mindset that like I am allowing anti-Semitism to fester, you can probably look at this situation and go, oh, he's just covering his base. Except there's never been a moment where I've thought that like anti-Semitism has been appropriate or acceptable. I've railed against Nazis my whole fucking career. I've been doxxed, harassed, swatted, family members fucking harassed by Nazis. Hasan tells Shadow to shut the fuck up, that he hates that they don't care about his well thought out opinion. He hates how they call Ethan a Nazi, why he hates covering drama with Ethan, and that he knows that people will still spin his opinion to prove his community is anti-Semitic. Hasan goes off on chat again, calling them crazy, telling them they can't be normal, saying it's not D-Chatter's cosplaying, but rather people who he say is not sufficiently leftist. If I ever catch someone talking maliciously about Gila, I will ban you. You're an unhinged psycho. Permanently bans Chatter talking bad about Ethan. Hasan correctly predicts that a reasonable take on the issue will not get clipped, but instead an out-of-context take will be by a certain community. And that's exactly what happened. To be my most best faith, honest self. I promise I have family in Israel and lost so many friends and connections from advocating for Palestine. I don't live in Ohio and I don't have an issue with anyone at H3. I think Ethan should just know better and give you and your community a sliver of grace you award him. Yeah, I agree. No, I don't disagree with you. It's just that this very reasonable take that you just mentioned is not going to make it to the fucking supercut that like Boner Chelly's fucking genocide loving community is salivating to make. No one is going to hear this. They're only going to see the fucking random dipshits in the chat being like, this guy's a bloodthirsty Zionist. Oh, fuck you. Okay. Do you salute soldiers over time? You see them always. And that's exactly what happened. I correctly predicted that as well. And here we are. I pre-watched that. Hasan identifies someone posting the H3 subreddit as a Destiny fan, LSF stalker who's been clipping him for 5 years. From Ethan's podcast, Hasan correctly predicts that all of these will come to the all of that will come from this situation is drama that turns into drama content, and says that his audience is annoying and doesn't listen to him. Hasan correctly predicts that random chatters' unnecessary chirping messages will be twisted against them. Ethan showed them on stream today. Hasan rage quits on chat, explaining that how they're acting is why leftovers ended, asking his chat to focus on what matters and will advance the cause of a free Palestine. Just felt this VOD / response from Hasan deserves a voice because Ethan didn't mention that Hasan defends him and tells off his chat about it. So if you're coming in here from fresh off the heels of like watching, this is one like 1 hour time frame from one singular VOD. Okay? If you're coming in here thinking like, oh, well, I watched a fucking 2-hour character assassination. I've been following you for years and years, but I'm really shocked at your position on these issues now that I've seen this fucking VOD. Or Ethan's coverage over how I let anti-Semitism fester in this community or some shit like that, or I'm giving like mind control powers over to my audience. I'm like constantly signaling to them secretly with secret messages. I hope you understand that that is not the truth, and you are being you're just getting you're being a sucker. That's it. Not only are you being a sucker, you're being a sucker in a really silly way in the midst of a fucking genocide, okay? So he's not lying about experiencing harassment, but he's totally neglecting the truth that is not encouraged by Hasan, or that it's the norm of life. His brain is broken, is sad. Like, I'm sure he's experiencing harassment. Of course he's experiencing harassment. I haven't stopped experiencing harassment since October 7th. Everyone that has any opinion on this is going to get shit on. I get shit on by people who are pro-Palestine who say I'm not sufficiently pro-Palestine. I get shit on by everyone who's pro-Israel and get called a fucking extremist Nazi who is who is anti-Semitic and is always like fucking hyping up terrorists nonstop. The difference is when you say that about someone who is not pro-Israel, it sticks. There is a mainstream narrative surrounding this sort of thing. That's why the college campus protesters, regardless of their Jewish background, for example, were considered to be in the pocket of Hamas and the IRGC. That was a real narrative in the media, right? The balance is entirely slanted in mainstream discourse on these sorts of issues. That's it. This whole thing reminds me of the I consent meme format. Hasan Ahmad's anti-Semitism is not tolerated here. Jewish community members, anti-Semitism is not tolerated here. Non-community members, sometimes not even Jewish, anti-Semitism is rampant. Yes. You probably just need to bite the bullets of what? Bite what bullets? Just stop covering Gaza? Stop speaking to the humanity of the victims? Just bite the bullet on the Tim Houthi kid? Why? Why would I ever? Why would I ever in a million fucking years turn around and take accountability over the fucking tweets of a dude in Yemen who could be killed by American bombing campaigns that are happening in his fucking neighborhood every goddamn day? What an insane, like, listen to yourself, okay? Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. There is no bullet to bite. I'm not going to ever cave or capitulate to an insane set of standards, an insane set of expectations. Yeah. If I did something that was fucked up by my estimations, I would, of course, apologize for it. I have time and time again. But when people turn around and act like a 19-year-old in Yemen is not a survivor of genocide because I don't feel so, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You know what I mean? You're objectively wrong. That is the truth. He is a survivor of genocide. A survivor of genocide who might at any given moment be killed by American bombs. No one cares in the media interviews an IDF soldier who says to level Gaza law. I know. I think it's utterly ridiculous to even have this conversation. Like, I don't know. It's just very, very stupid. Fair. I do think people go way too far in making him sound like a terrorist than he actually is. In the eyes of a lot of these people that are pro-Israel, that want to defend Israel's actions, everyone that is a victim of American imperialism in any way, shape, or form is, of course, a terrorist. Like, that's the whole point. How do you think we can continue this charade as Israel pummels Gaza into fucking oblivion? Okay? Like, it's hilarious. They're like, hey, man, by the way, this 19-year-old in Yemen was holding a gun. Must be a terrorist. Meanwhile, highest gun ownership per capita after the United States of America in Yemen. So I have to like him or Israel? Is there a reality I can disagree with both? Yeah, dude, go off. You can disagree with him all day, every day. I don't give a shit. But if you come in here and tell me that he is not a survivor of genocide, I will tell you that you are wrong. Okay? What do you mean you disagree with a 19-year-old in Yemen? Like, do you guys hear yourselves? Do you hear yourselves? We are talking about a 19-year-old in Yemen who is a survivor of the genocide in Yemen that was conducted with American bombs. Yemen is being bombed. As of last night, Yemen was bombed again. Okay? The internet was a mistake. The internet was a fucking mistake. You have no way of understanding that this person, okay, that this person's life expectancy is very different than yours. This person's understanding of the world is very different than yours. Like, your approval is completely and utterly inconsequential. Genocide ended 3 years ago. Exactly. He was 16. Yemen is still one of the poorest countries on the planet. He was 16 when the genocide ended. It went on for almost a decade. So from 6 to 16, he survived genocide, endless man-made famine. What the fuck are we talking about? I don't know how I can communicate this. But why don't you consider the agency of that Yemeni kid? I am considering the agency, except many people think he is, under my guardianship or something. And I think the only reason why we're having this conversation is because people want to grab onto anything that they can. People want to grab onto anything that they can to just like continue this discourse. Okay? And it feels like I'm having this conversation with people who are otherwise very progressive and maybe perhaps think that they're very progressive, but on this issue, dare I say, exhibiting a little bit of Islamophobia. Now, I don't like to say this because I know the moment that I drop this, people are going to be like, oh, you think because this guy is a Houthi terrorist actually who has like thrown gay people off the roofs that you think I'm actually making this stuff. I'm actually assuming that he's doing that sort of thing in my mind, and that's Islamophobic. Like, why can I not speak to the insatiable bloodthirst that this person has, that he wants to kill every single Jewish person on the planet, that I've decided that that's what he wants to do? Why can't I just say that? Wow, it's really fucked up. I can't believe some of the problematic tweets of a dude who basically all he knows is death and destruction in his life. I'm like, oh my God. I know. This drama has been artificially extended for months. We shouldn't even be having to fucking talk about this. It's actually insane. I know. Maybe I read wrong, but I feel like Hasan saying talking to the Yemeni guys like talking to Anne Frank back in their day isn't likening him to her. It's just that you get to talk to a Yemeni kid, to a young kid that's grown up in a war and being constantly bomb threatened. The reason why I mentioned that is because now in modern society, you have access to a person who is directly a victim and a survivor of genocide. He is not the only survivor of genocide that I've had on this broadcast. Motaz Aziza is another person that was in my house. Grew up in Gaza. I interviewed him as well. Every single moment that we're covering this stuff, by the way, is successfully centering the conversation back to like the feelings of people living in the lap of luxury, myself included. I'm selfishly indulging in this, and it feels wrong. I'd rather talk about anything else. But the thing that I wanted to repeat Easy suggests you did that comparison for anti-Semitic reasons. Too dumb to realize he compared Jewish voice for Peace to Capos. I know. I think he thought Motaz was the Yemeni kid because he said you talked to the Yemeni kid as recently as last week. No, I haven't talked to him in like a year almost. 10 months ago is when I talked to him. No one will call Motaz a terrorist because he's a journalist and his background isn't as vague as the kid. That's not correct. Plenty of people call him a terrorist. A shit ton of people call him a terrorist. The Israeli state assassinated his friend and the other journalist that was operating his drones. What are you talking about? Of course, everybody calls him a fucking terrorist. Dog. They call babies terrorists. Exactly. They call terror babies. This is the other thing that I was going to say. Like, there are a lot of people. This is something that I tried to communicate to Ethan a long time ago. Okay. He said you didn't talk to him last week. He said you talked about him. Can we cover everything else, please? Yeah. Look, it's not just this community. There are a shit ton of other people. Ethan has been a very famous person online for years and years, developed a lot of fucking people who hate him, just like myself. Okay. I have a lot of haters that aren't just coming from Boner Chelly's community. Okay. Yeah, by the way, it's funny. People go, oh, wow. Like, people don't call Motaz a terrorist. People call me a terrorist, dog. What are you talking about? What do you think Hamasabi is? What do you think what they're trying to say with that? I think people don't understand that Ethan's own fan base, because he had a genuine change of mind, which I respect him for, okay, still to this day, on a lot of these issues, he cultivated a very progressive community, much broader and much different than my community. And those very progressive people, understandably, have a different attitude. I think that that is the main problem here. That like the main problem here is that I don't think he understands this. I don't think he understands that his like audience actively try to not think about his opinions or the way he presents himself on this issue, because the reality of the matter is, like, I still believe and hope that he is considerate of the genocide that Israel is engaging in, and that he recognizes that Israel is an apartheid state. I don't know where he's at on the matter, but considering that he consistently pulls up like random people on Twitter and says, I've been getting serially harassed by people over and over again from Hasan's community, I think that's his way of saying, like, my opinion on the issue is known by everyone. But every single time, even the conversations, like, look back at the conversations that we had in the early steps, okay, in the early stages of October, the conversation that we had on my stream. Go back and watch the conversation with today's eyes. My position on none of this has changed. Okay? My position on none of this has changed. And since then, a lot more people have become more cognizant, become more understanding of the situation on the ground. Okay? I've had all of this. I've had this whole thing. I've had this entire conversation now at this point. And all he will see are things that are clip chimped with the most negative framing possible. And it will continue this endless spiral of drama. Okay? But the real problem here is, and the way I see it is, I believe that the way he presents himself on this issue is the reason why a lot of people think that he is defending Israel. That's it. That is it. I can't do anything about that. I have tried to explain this to him publicly, privately. That was the thing that got clipped out of context in our conversation. The last conversation that we had on camera. Okay? If you recall, if you go back and watch that conversation that we had about like Jewish Voice for Peace, all this stuff, okay? Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? It was on my it's on my YouTube. Something I said back then that got also clipped out of context is still very prescient. Okay? Let me see if I can find the video real quick. And then I'm going to move on and we're going to do regular news coverage. Okay? Thoughts on Jackson Hinkle's support for Palestine? He's a charlatan and has said anti-Semitic shit. He's just a right-wing nut job who is a unique opportunist in the grand scheme of things. He's just like, he's an opportunist, he's a grifter, but he certainly is a unique one in his approach. I mean, he's a fucking MAGA communist, you know? Where the fuck is the... Why can't anybody send me the fucking clip of like me and Ethan having a conversation? Okay, this is not even the... dude, you couldn't find it on my own fucking page. God damn it. There was a part in this conversation that was clipped where I was like, look, I can't control how people feel about the way that you present yourself on this issue. If you recall at the time, people clipped that out of context to be like, oh, I can't control my own community. He's saying, oh, I can't control his own community when he's like demanded other people control their community. What I was saying in that situation is I have done everything I can to control my community. I have regularly, with regular frequency, yelled at them. Okay? You edited that part out of your upload, I think.
I gotta go soon anyway. My throat is fucking killing me.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I think that
Is this it?
I think that people are too quick to jump to conclusions, especially because of the prevalence of certain talking points that they hear that they immediately go, oh, it seems like he's defending Israel. In the same way that people look at me and say, oh, you don't care, you love Hamas. Like, you must love Hamas. It's very obvious that you love Hamas over and over again. Despite the endless condemnations that I deliver.
I feel that
and talk about the brutality of it. It's just people are very black and white on the internet, and they want to put you in a neatly defined box that says you believe this, and I think that you believe this, and you're sneakily and cynically and talking against this other position. I will not listen to what you have to say. I simply am going to perceive you a certain way and go along with it.
At this point, this was all the way back. This was on November 9th, right? When we were having this conversation, the point I was making was, listen, dog, when you say from the river to the sea is actually anti-Semitic, and then I try to have a conversation with you about how it's not anti-Semitic at all, and I try to describe to you an emancipatory slogan, and then I tell you it's kind of like it's giving all lives matter when someone says Black Lives Matter. Okay? then of course people are going to think this way. Okay? You are in many ways repeating a lot of the things that like some of the most unhinged sociopathic defenders of Israel say. When you say like, oh, you like some of the things that Ethan said that he apologized for were damn near identical to what fucking Bill Maher says or what Asmongold said. Like, oh, you're gay or you're a sex worker, you'd be thrown off a roof in Gaza. Like, that is just straight up. That is straight up fucking the same shit that Asmongold and Bill Maher say, right? Of course, people are going to make up their minds about this, no matter how much I try to tell them that, like, oh, you don't understand. Like, Ethan is very critical of the Israeli government for quite some time. And that's basically what I was saying. That's what I was trying to explain to him, both publicly and privately, over and over again. And yet it didn't matter. It didn't matter at the time, and it still doesn't matter. And I think this is more so, like, I think that there is I'm being as charitable as possible. I think that there is, like, obviously a very real fear of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. I've never said that it's not. There's very real anti-Semitism on the rise. It happens every single time Israel does something like this. Never to this degree, never to this severity, but like Israel packages all of its violent actions with the idea that like they're doing it for all Jews, and a lot of opportunists use that and massage the already existing underlying anti-Semitism in American society to be like, see, look at what they're doing. There's also a lot of people who don't understand it. They're like, well, what the fuck? They're saying they're doing this for Jews. Like, I guess they are, or whatever, right? All of this stuff remains. All of this stuff is very real, okay? So in all of this madness, when Ethan's expectation is that people will understand the nuances of his statements, like, of course they're not going to understand it, because they're seeing fucking people get burned to bits. They're seeing people fucking burned inside of tents with IV bags, like, stuck to their fucking bodies as they yell out. Like, they see the cries of Palestinian people every day. They see Gaza getting pummeled every day. They see Lebanon getting pummeled now. Like, of course, there is no room for nuance in that situation if you are focusing all of your time, effort, and initiative after hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people have been displaced, hundreds of thousands possibly dead. We know directly from Israeli fire is like 45K over the course of 12 months, 2,000 in Lebanon that we know of thus far. Like, yeah, people are going to keep hearing you say like, oh yeah, the war is really traumatic and it's really devastating, but also I'm getting attacked. I'm getting attacked relentlessly by random accounts on Twitter, or I'm getting attacked relentlessly. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is unacceptable. Like, people are going to lose charitability to your position over and over again. Okay? And I find that strange because like I don't think that I've never made light of, or rather I've never considered anti-Semitism to not be an issue. Of course it is. It is the canary of fascism. It is one of the easiest signifiers that someone that you're talking to is most likely a fascist. And that dynamic is changing now. Even it's getting, anti-Semitism is becoming significantly more prevalent as Israel packages all of its violent actions as though they are doing it specifically at the behest of Jews all around the world. Okay? This is why I say Zionism is inherently anti-Semitic. So if you don't take a side, you get banned law? What do you mean? Where?
This is
See,
it
this is what you're looking
in
for?
Israel.
I agree. I think that people are too quick to jump to conclusions, especially because of the prevalence of certain talking points that they hear that they immediately go, "Oh, it seems like he's defending Israel." In the same
That's it. That's it. If the overwhelming majority of the points that you have communicated in the past 12 months pertain to how you feel and how you feel like you are the real victim of this situation, then yes, people are going to inevitably not have charitability for you, especially 12 months into it. And it's not my audience. It's not just my audience, rather. It's a much broader audience that you've cultivated of progressive people who are pro-Palestinian. That's it. That's it. It comes across as hollow and very self-centered, and I don't know what else to say about it. Like, there are real victims. There are real victims here, okay? And the irony of it is that, like, I rarely talk about, I sometimes do, but I rarely talk about, like, the harassment that I receive from, you know, virtually every single fucking person that's pro-Israel, or even just people that are, you know, Islamophobia lovers overall, okay? Because ultimately, it happens to all of us to varying degrees. But I still understand that there is a much higher purpose here, okay? I don't think that, like, Twitter discourse and people being like, Hasan loves Islamic fundamentalism, okay, is as significant in the grand scheme of things as, like, the slaughtered children, tens of thousands of them, lives cut short. That's it. It's hard for me to have a serious conversation about this because it comes across as insanely selfish. Okay? I don't know. I don't know how else to talk about this issue. Totally agree with you, but these freaks are going to just say you're deflecting his criticism. I don't care because I think his criticism is wrong. I think like the fact that I entertained it this much is already silly. And here's the reality of the matter. This is it. His own audience feeling this way. And he knows that his own audience feels this way. These are not my fans. Some of them might be. Okay? Someone on the crew needs to have an intervention with Ethan. That's a foot soldier. Subscriber to the channel. He's stuck in a self-confirming feedback loop. It's very brave for Ethan to come out as the primary victim of this genocide, to no chat, no pushback, no opposition. Editing to add, I won't be replying to people who behave like Ethan in the responses. That's the point. The main thing that stands out to me is the things that Ethan chooses to talk about on the podcast. Yes, he talked about his opinions on the Israeli government, but when he was asked, instead of choosing to talk about the plight of the Palestinians, he chooses to talk about anti-Semitism. He never brings up atrocities against Palestinians when they happen. And if he does, it's, yes, it shouldn't have happened, but to be honest, I couldn't work for a guy that talks mean comments, gets on the internet for hours, and then conflict has gotten to a point where AB and Lena have family that's been evacuated from Lebanon, doesn't even talk about it 1 second. I don't know what the dynamic is there either. I can't speak on this. I don't know if this is correct or not, for the record. I hate how Ethan centers himself when there's a literal genocide unfolding. The unbearable privilege is palpable. So, like, he knows that his community does not respond to this stuff kindly, and that's it. The only thing that does suck is that people have been harassing AB and Lena saying that they should quit. Yeah, I think that's also ridiculous. I don't think that they should. This is it is the same thing that people were telling me about how I chose to deal with Islamophobia and tried to educate Asmongold on Islamophobia and bigotry. When I had that conversation with them, people were like, why are you being so charitable? You should fucking kill him. And it's like, dude, I think I know how to handle this a little bit better than you do, you know? Considering that this is like, you know, primarily something that targets myself more than, you know, some random white people who have similar opinions to myself. Asman has been 1,000% more charitable right now in the situation than your former co-host. Yeah, I mean, that's besides the point. So that's it. I don't watch Hasan. I watched H3 since back when I was living in Israel and collabing with Lizzie Frank. The other day, I saw footage of the latest hospital bombing online. Children being burned alive while hooked up to IVs. And that same day, Ethan was posting IG stories about this Houthi kid. No mention of the bombing. No mention of anything except for his own emotions. It made me sad to see that this is where he's at now. I'm here because he's silencing criticism from his own audience on today's podcast episode. Some of us aren't Hasan fans. We just have eyes and can see the genocide that's happening. And we see Ethan too wrapped up in his own world to say anything substantial about it. Every time he's mentioned the genocide in the past couple of months, he called it a tragedy or a disaster, like a tornado hit there, no mention of Israel at all. I haven't followed through on like his latest opinions on this stuff, but what I have seen over and over again, that's a fan lore channel for his podcast. But what I have seen over and over again is just like how how, you know, like, this is what it was, right? The execution that will carry out all Zionists. Just a cute tweet from our fave Houthi. Same people telling me to kill myself. Love this guy. I still can't figure out why they're targeting me. You need to ask yourself, what is a Zionist? Is it just someone who believes Israel shouldn't be wiped off the map? A lot of people would say yes. That's why the term is dumb and basically a slur at this point. It can be deployed against anyone. People are calling AOC and Bernie Sanders Zionists. It's not a slur, man. It's a political opinion. And I think the vague generalization of like what Zionism should be in the minds of some people is what is causing this confusion. If you believe that Israel has to exist on the ancestral homeland of Palestinians that lived there for hundreds of years as a Jewish majority ethno-state, which is what it's designed to be, which is what it is right now, okay, then yeah, that's what you believe. It is a fascist ideology. The entire purpose of learning about the history of the Holocaust and other genocides, the entire purpose of learning about the history of fascism is to never repeat those mistakes. There is no gatekeeping in this circumstance. Ancestral, bro, you're joking? What ancestry, Lamau? Go learn history. What the fuck? Dude, when I say ancestral, I mean like people that lived there for hundreds of years, okay? People who are indigenous to the land. Please. Please. Following since 2020. Source the Bible. Anyway. This is what Norm Finkelstein said about Houthis on the curse the Jews, which, by the way, I'm not defending this, okay? I'm not. And I never have. Just so you understand. These are two anti-Zionist Jews having this discussion. I have to, of course, explain to you that I do not defend this because this will be used against me over and over again.
Charter or some official document of theirs says curse the Jews.
I don't get hot under the collar about those things. And not because I'm giving people a pass Israel describes itself as the state of the Jewish people.
Right.
What do you expect these people
Exactly.
to? Have they ever met a Jew who was nice to them? I doubt it. And I remember my father, for him, my mother, every German was a Nazi. That they didn't meet other Germans. And so the Houthis, all they see of Jews is what Israel is doing to Gaza, Israel is doing to Lebanon, Israel is doing here, Israel is doing there. I can't get excited about that. It's not because I give a pass to anti-Semitism. It's because you have to look at the context.
Of course.
And I understood where my father's coming from, and I'm not going to hold somebody else to a more stringent standard than I held my own parents.
Wait, so what's your issue with his take? No, I understand. I think that's where it's coming from. I agree. In before Ethan screenshot in chat saying, "See, look, all the anti-Semites when it's just political analysis." Yeah. But yeah, I think that the last thing I'm going to say on this, once again, is I urge Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar about this. Okay. I think Sam Cedar can offer him a fresh perspective on the matter. Okay. That's it. A majority report
Bull
subscriber
Prog
was
says,
complaining
FYI,
about
Hasan
you.
has been doing worse than Apologia for groups like Hezbollah and Houthis in his reaction to Zionism. I mean, I don't know what he said, but I really don't care. To be honest, I find the like safe, cozy, rich white people in America picking apart the ideology of resistance groups.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing to me that makes me want to like scream more. It's the height of privilege, and it's just such Western chauvinism. So I support Hasan 100%. I think it's great that he had that Houthi kid on back in the day, and we should be understanding more why Houthis, Hezbollah, all of these folks are resisting.
Yes,
and honestly, I'm like. That's what Klein is like. What he was saying there too, Ezra Klein. Like this, just like the reflexive characterization of Palestinians or Arabs as just savages is disgusting, and it's widespread and shared on the Democratic and Republican side. And liberal Zionists are going to have to confront their own racism. They're unwilling to. You saw that in the.
Yes. I think Emma is correct. I think this is a reality that liberal Zionists refuse to reckon with, because Islamophobia is so permitted and it's so commonplace that no one is ever checked on it, where they just go, wait a minute, am I going above and beyond here? Like anyone that resists? Wait, oh shit. Oh. Sorry, I'm like talking to Dave Weigel right now as well simultaneously, and he just said he doesn't have. Perón once said, "I will not do anything. Everything will do my enemies." In an Argentinian popular point of view, the haters would do all the work of making the work of publicity, share, and practically make them addict to your content. The best cases, you piece of Chad. I love you, Hasan. Yeah. Have you seen the clip that incited most of this for Ethan? No, I have not. I don't know what it is.
Well, I was just curious.
Ethan and Gila ambushed by a Sneeko fan?
How come you don't like Sneeko?
Oh, fuck, dude. That's disgusting. Fuck Sneeko and his fans, dude. What do you think? That motherfucker's a Holocaust denier. Like, if you package me or my community as like anything near whatever the fuck Sneeko's doing, I don't know what to tell you. You're so lost in the sauce. Yeah, that's some unhinged ass. That's the guy that came up to you at UCLA. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, he was. He was being fucking hella annoying to me, too, at UCLA campus, constantly trying to get on camera. He compared our community in cuckoos. Yeah, I mean. How do chatters know this? Because we have a lot of crossover fans. That's what it is. I think that's the reason why they know this shit. I always thought that when people said stuff like Hamas is killing hostages, that they just came from the anti-Arab, anti-Muslim bigotry. They totally just throw out reason and expect these kinds of people to act like animals with no logical reasoning. I think it's the same kind of thinking Emma and you were talking about. Yes. Yes. It's the same principle behind like October 7. It happened out of nowhere. Why the fuck did they do it? Yeah, no, Dave, I'm DMing him right now. He's logging back on. And or a new one. Do you think you can get Ta-Nehisi Coates and Norman Finkelstein on at the same time? I can't even get fucking Ta-Nehisi Coates on yet. I'm trying. He's a bit of a boomer.
Ezra Klein clip. But
yeah,
these
I'm
are
waiting. I'm
resistance
waiting to
groups.
bring him on right
and
now.
Picking apart what they believe. I mean, it's
as if it hasn't been massively influenced by the.
You shared Norm's perspective on curse the Jews. Can you expand on your own? No, I agree with Norm. Like I think that I've said this before. Anti-Semitism is unacceptable across the board. This is not a justification for it whatsoever. But a lot of people make the mistake, and I've talked about this quite a bit. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking about like Nazi Germany anti-Semitism and then immediately rationalize it or immediately neutralize it as like Arabs and their opinion over Israel is anti-Semitic in a similar vein. And I think that is incorrect. A lot of first of all bigotry is learned behavior in general, and all bigotry is unacceptable across the board. The Arab bigotry, the Arab anti-Semitism is born out of Israel's actions of imperial violence in the region, backed by the United States of America, being packaged as like being done for the interests of Jews. This is a region that has had Jewish people live in it side by side with Muslims and Christians, not just Palestine, just across the board. The Islamic Caliphate leadership under the Ottoman Empire was seen as a safe haven for Jews. That's the reason why there's so many Jews in Morocco, or were so many Jews in North African countries, and obviously the inception of the Israeli state and the violence associated with that is the reason why a lot of these countries that had their own pan-Arabic nationalist movements that developed a distaste for what Israel was doing, and most people are not very fucking smart. Like they're not gonna think thoroughly. I don't expect people to like look at a bomb, see that there's a Star of David on the side of the fucking F-15 or whatever, and then be like, well, actually, this is happening because of American imperialism. They just see it as like, oh, they say they're doing this for Judaism, and now I think that. That's why anti-Semitism rises when Israel does a shit ton of violent actions. This is not a justification for it. This is something that I routinely combat, something that I fight against on a daily fucking basis. But if you consider like, that's why I always thought it was funny whenever like Isaac Herzog, the Israeli president, anti-miscegenation, by the way, would put up the copy of Mein Kampf and be like, these are terror babies with the copy of Mein Kampf. It's like, dog, a Palestinian child, okay, does not learn anti-Semitism from Adolf Hitler. That is marketed to the Western audiences, okay? Like that you are framing this so obviously. You are framing this so obviously for a Western audience that you're showing fucking Mein Kampf. Okay? Like, you know how people in that region, Refat, rest in power, Refat al-Rer, the English professor that was assassinated by the state of Israel, talked about this in his own personal experience. He was like, until I was 18, the only thing I knew about Judaism was that they were killing me. Right? Like that. And then I came to America. I visited America and I was like, oh my God, there's Jewish people that are like anti-Israel. That is a framework that you will never be able to comprehend, especially if you're a progressive person, especially if you have learned what anti-Semitism is in the United States of America. Okay? He was like, the first time I met a Jewish person that I saw as a person that was my ally, that saw my humanity, that recognized my humanity, was when I left Gaza or when I left Palestine. This is something that people cannot comprehend. They think it's the same kind of anti-Semitism that people are like learning on fucking 4chan. Okay? There's a difference between a violent militant state doing genocide or on a good day conducting an apartheid regime over 5 million people that they have sovereignty over illegally, and then saying that they're doing this for Judaism. Okay? Anyway, I am now moving away. We're shifting gears, and we're going to talk to Dave Weigel about Kamala Harris's chances. I'm calling him right now. Okay? And I'm going to have Austin show, reset. We're going to have Austin show on to also be on the broadcast so he can bother David about all of the poll questions that he has. Dave, are you there?